Hey friends, it's Erica, and today we are talking about one of my favorite things to talk about, the subconscious mind, and just a little, kind of a humorous video comparing, because you guys know I love to make these little metaphors for you so that you can understand everything so much easier. Um, the subconscious mind being compared. We're going to compare to a house today, right? So let's say, you have a full house. You got your kitchen, you got your two bedrooms, you got your living room, you got your dining room, and you got a basement, right? Now, after you've lived in the house for many years, there's a possibility that you've accumulated things that you may need, or that you may be saving, or that you may not need at all. And perhaps there's some boxes in the corner, some dust bunnies around, and lurking in the basement. You never know what's there. So, this is a good comparison because typically, as humans, we're only conditioned really to think about functioning in the kitchen and the bedroom, metaphorically speaking. And the subconscious mind is like, what's in that deep, dark corner of your basement that you haven't been in like 3 years? That's the work we're talking about. That's the deep diving that we're really talking about. And chances are, if you're following me, this is something that interests you. So I'm making this video because I do offer shadow sessions, and I have a full list of questions that we kind of dive through in a shadow session, and I help you kind of unpack some of this trauma, limiting beliefs, repetitive patterns, stuff that may be stored in your basement, behind your dryer, stuff that you don't even know is there. And the crazy thing is, as much as you can just compare your mind to a cluttered house, um, it's really, really necessary to go in and do that full sweep. Um, Cleaning the lint out of the dryer. That's what my coach Sarah always says. But until we can even get to the point where we can just clean the lint, sometimes we have some pretty heavy boxes. Sometimes we may have moved once or twice and had some of our belongings just simply packed away in a box that we may never even have gotten to yet. So trauma and the subconscious mind is a lot like that. We may have had to survive through certain instances and certain situations where, at that time and in that moment, we could not survive by feeling the feelings about that. We had to simply turn that part of ourselves off and go into survival mode of, what do I need to do? Single moms, I am talking to you on this a lot, because we oftentimes have absolutely no choice to sit there. Because let's face it, doing the healing work and doing the trauma healing, that takes actual time to do. And if you don't have the time and the freedom to even go to the bathroom, how can you possibly have the time and the freedom to unpack your biggest trauma and then, spend the time necessary to heal from that? You simply don't. And this could go for anyone at any age. If something horrible happened to you when you were 8 years old, and you had to simply continue to move on, continue to move forward, continue to keep plugging away. The pain and the trauma that you experienced from that happening to you, it's still there and it's stored, and it could be heavy, and it could be a box that is so heavy and you're just carrying it along with you, because you haven't even thought about it, because it's been there for so long. You may not even notice how heavy something really is. So once we get into the work of unpacking our trauma, looking through that basement, seeing what's in these boxes, what is in this box? What's in that box that I've had sitting there for so long? Let's open it up. And I'm here for you to do that stuff together. Oftentimes when we look into these boxes, there's repetitive patterns of maybe not being chosen first. You never know where your trauma comes from. And trauma can be anything from something severe, from being starved or beaten or raped. But it can also be little things that we didn't realize had such an impact, such as maybe being the last to get chosen in a gym class, or getting humiliated by a child on the playground who tripped you. Certain little things like that we might not even really think had an impact on us could have possibly started off a chain of events that just ran over and over in your head. I am not chosen. I am not worthy of being chosen. Or I'm just a joke. Stuff like that will keep on repeating and repeating, and you don't know why. You don't know how. That's where I come in. When I work with you in these shadow sessions, I get you into a hypnotic, relaxing mindset and brainwave, right? So it is much easier to recall, because the mind doesn't actually forget anything. You have all of your memories, feelings, and anything that's ever happened to you in this lifetime and in past lifetimes is all stored. It's just a matter of tapping into it. So when I get you in a session, we make sure to get you in a frequency and a mindset brainwave to where you can go ahead and shut down the ego, because we don't need the ego for a lot of this work. And we have to get into the subconscious. We have to get into the unconscious parts of you that may have never even been looked at. And it's a journey, there's a lot going on. So as I always tell people, we can unpack a hell of a lot in a 1-hour session for sure. But it might take you like 3 to 6 sessions, possibly more. And then when you're working with me, I like to, kind of guide you along how you can kind of start doing these types of exercises even on your own, So it's never, ever my intention to make my clients dependent on me for healing. I just want to be the one to elevate you, teach you, guide you, and I got some pretty amazing techniques I've learned through all my studies, through all the courses I've taken, through all the coaching and certifications that I've got. I can pretty much get you shifted. And I do shift people very quickly. I've been putting out some little snippets of some of my hypnotic audios lately, so I hope that you've seen those and I hope you enjoy those. There will be more hypnotic audios coming, and that can be such a powerful and easy way, because when I can just speak directly to your subconscious, and you don't even have to know, really, like with your ego mind, you may not understand what's going on, but I can just get to your subconscious, get to your unconscious, and then start relieving you of that density. And you will always feel lighter after these sessions, because like I said, you don't realize how heavy it is what you're carrying, because it's just always been there. Um, so that's why a lot of times when we do get into the healing journey, um, because we've released so much weight off of us, we start feeling lighter, and that makes us more sensitive to the negative energy. Situations that you maybe were forced to feel like was normal if you lived in abusive chaos, um, you know, a lifestyle like that where you didn't know any different. You thought it was normal. So you never knew any better. Once you step away and start removing that heavy energy and those programs and those thought patterns that have weighed you down for so long, you become lighter and freer. And then you're also more intuitive into sensing, the danger. You're more intuitive to sensing the negativity. So a lot of the time when you start this journey, you realize, you can't be around certain situations or certain people anymore, because you can now have the cognitive ability to recognize how toxic some of this shit is. Especially when this comes from your family of origin. If you were born into an abusive, toxic environment and you decide to step away and heal, and you then learn that all of these toxic behaviors, all of this heaviness, this anxiety, this BPD, this heavy guilt, all of that stemmed from the abuse that you received early on from caregivers, and then you step back and you rid yourself of all of that, and then you try to go and be around those people. Oftentimes you're not going to be able to stomach even to be around them. It's going to make you almost sick. And you can liken this to any kind of a drug addiction. If you're heavily into an addiction and you're eating pills, large amounts of pills or whatever every day, and then you step away for some what do they call it, rehab, and you get clean, and so you stay clean for like a year, and then you decide to I'm gonna have some fun, I'm gonna do it again. You can't handle that same amount of pills that you could handle when you were just in it every day. You have no tolerance. You just have no tolerance for the negativity. So oftentimes you will feel lonely, because you've learned that you can't be around the so-called family and friends that you thought you belonged to, but you don't, because you're elevating and they are not. And that can be one of the hardest parts about healing, because people that you truly love, you can truly love people that are toxic for you. And it comes a point where you have to say, I choose me. I choose my health. I choose my healing. And I'm sorry I can't be around. All you can do, you can't force them to come with you on the journey. That's some of the hardest parts. But you have to continue to elevate yourself. And through elevating yourself, it's either going to help motivate them to elevate, or you're just going to keep growing farther and farther and farther apart. And by the time you keep elevating and you look back at some of those people that you used to think you were close to, and you are just like, wow, they have not changed. What a disgusting lifestyle. Oh, well, you shouldn't judge, of course. That's their path. However, it's something that you can't even think about being a part of anymore. So, there's so many intricate details when it comes to healing, ascending, elevating, and, I know how lonely it is. I'm here for you. That's why you don't have to do the work yourself, yes, you need to separate from people in your life, but that's why it's a good thing to have a coach or whatever. Like, I'm here for you. We can do sessions, so let's get that basement unpacked. That's what I've been doing, and I've been noticing some major life changes here in myself. My specific person is showing up like an absolute dream. Things are flowing, things are getting a lot better. And it took me a good 2 and maybe 3 years to really dive into my healing journey. So I do want to say it is totally possible, but the more shit you have to unpack, the longer it's going to take. So my advice would be start sooner than later, because if you wait for too long, it's going to seem like it takes forever. All right. And it doesn't, because you got to think 30 some years of absolute trauma, and healing that within like a 2 to 3 year span. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. So you let me know. You guys can email me twinflametaurus@gmail.com. And yeah. All right. Bye.